The Pirates roared back from down 6-0 in the middle of a Corbin Burnes gem to take game 2 in Arizona 9-6. That and more next on Locked On Pirates.
You are Locked On Pirates, your daily Pittsburgh Pirates podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Pirates. I'm Gary Morgan. Today, we'll obviously be talking about probably the most entertaining 3 innings of baseball this team has played all season, some roster moves I'd like to see the Pirates make, and we'll wrap up talking about how to identify players that actually might be traded. Spoiler alert, it's not just cuz nutting, okay? Like, there's bigger reasons for trades usually. Let's start with the Pirates' win last night, 9-6 against the Diamondbacks. Where do you begin? Let's start with Bryan Reynolds. On base 5 times, 4 hits, including 3-run homer to break the tie at 6 and ultimately give the Pirates this victory. Just a big swing of the bat at a big time, and something that we've seen this team and Bryan Reynolds fail to do so many times this season. It just felt great to see a couple connections when they really, really needed it tonight. Speaking of connections, there was another bases loaded opportunity earlier in which IKF was up, and he had not had a hit all night. And what did he do? Drove in 3 with his first hit. A bases loaded double to tie it down the line. I mean, they were down 6-3. How many, again, of those things have you watched go by scoreless this season? So satisfying to see it pay off every once in a while, getting all those guys on base and finally making it happen. Arguably the biggest turning point of this game was Henry Davis substituted late for a banged up Joey Bart. He took a backswing off his dome. So it could be a concussion, could be nothing, could be just a couple days of rest. That said, Davis in his first at-bat banged a 2-run shot, and I mean, it was a no-doubter off Corbin Burnes to break up the gem and really push him out of the ball game. Even so, it felt like an innocent couple runs at the time, just to give the Pirates fans something to talk about in the middle of a beatdown. One of those ones that was sure to fall short, like so many we've watched, but it felt good at the time, and it was good to see from Henry a good swing of the bat. This was not one of those ones that you had to wonder if it was going to wind up staying fair or foul, or if it was going to barely clear the wall. I mean, there was just no doubt about it. I would also say it was really nice what Henry did a little bit later, drill in a double to right center field. Beautiful. I mean, it's exactly the kind of swing I think you want to see from Henry Davis, and that's real power too. To be able to, in Arizona, to be able to drive a ball to the base of the wall in right center field, opposite field, that's a swing. Really good signs from Henry Davis last night. And I mean, that should get you excited. He's playing better defense than Joey Bart. I think we should see him go on a little run here. He's going to have Paul Skeens today, so he's going to get the start. Not sure what the Pirates will do if they need a backup catcher. I don't know if Endy's ready. And if he's not, I guess you'd have to go with Abraham Gutierrez, although that would require a 40-man move. Not that we don't have some fodder there, but probably not a move the Pirates are anxious to make, really, with Endy being so close. So we'll see what they do. I could see them almost trying to get by with Bart just sitting on the bench for a couple days. But backup catcher is not really something you like to toy with. So at the very least, I expect a taxi call up if this is even a questionable thing with Bart. Alexander Canario had 2 more hits, but he kind of reset this game too in his own way. They're down big, and he went all out to make a really, really pretty running catch in center field to prevent a big extra base hit. That was an overlooked play. I felt it was one of those plays where I literally said, okay, that's the kind of hustle I want to see when my guys are down big, whether it looks like it matters or not, to see that kind of an effort. Man, that really spoke to me. And I love the way Alexander Canario is playing the game right now. Solid effort he's given for this entire month, really. He's been arguably our most consistent hitter. He's raised his batting average considerably. He's up into the 200s pretty securely now. And I'm not saying that he's, a batting title threat, but he certainly has moved up the pecking order, at least as far as like what you expect out of him when he comes up to the plate. Still going to have strikeout issues. I think that's something you're just going to have to deal with him and other players for that matter. That's kind of the way of the world. But for this team to win 9-6 and not get one hit or walk from O'Neal Cruz, yeah, uncommon performance, right? I gotta say, it was a tale of two games, though. I really felt like, as we watched it early on, it felt so much like one of those games where the Pirates' bats just got dominated early and kind of gave up the ghost. Didn't look like there was any pushback coming. Didn't look like there was any adjustment or approach changes. Didn't look like anybody had figured anything out about Corbin Burnes. And then Henry Davis, who has become, I guess, a little bit of one of those weird guys that tends to get big swings of the bat off guys that nobody else can see. This is the guy that homered twice off Shohei Ohtani, and then he does it to Corbin Burnes, and Corbin Burnes was just giving up nothing. I mean, there weren't even meatballs being missed. This was just masterful performance from Corbin Burnes. And Henry he got one pitch and he did not miss it. And he absolutely tattooed that ball. I mean, the power potential in Henry's bat and the defense he's playing is enough to really start having a real conversation about who should be starting at catcher for this team. I think we've said this for a while, and I don't want to sound like ungrateful to Joey Bart. Joey Bart had a really good year last year after being picked up off the waiver wire. I'm not claiming that he's a terrible player or that he has no bat or that he has no potential to help this team at all, and even in a backup capacity. But I am saying he's really, really, really cold right now. Henry's outplaying him defensively. Henry was a 1-1 pick. Your 1-1 pick. So it doesn't matter that Bart was a 1-2 for someone else. But this is why Bart's opportunities eventually dried up in San Francisco, because what we saw last year, they saw the power potential. They saw his ability to impact the game. They just never saw it in long enough stretches or consistently enough. And when he goes the other way, well, that can last just as long as his hot streaks, unfortunately. So I think that's a little bit of a dance they're going to have to go through. I really would love to see them kind of go all in on seeing what Henry has here. This is the year to find out. There's a step between bust, regular player, superstar. You don't have to be nailed on in one of those columns to be a successful Major League Baseball player. All right. It's not all or nothing with Henry. The fact that he is a Major League catcher, to me, right away, you have hit the baseline. Now, is he a Major League catcher who is just really capable defensively, and that makes him at least a guy who's got a job for the next 10, 15 years in Major League Baseball if he wants it? I think so. And that's not what you're looking for from a 1-1, especially somebody that you took and said was about the bat being the best bat available, best college bat available in the draft. but it might be what you have to accept. And he might have to develop into the hitter that you hoped he was. The defense should make that possible. I just said on yesterday's show, this is a team that went out and got Roberto Perez and Austin Hedges and considered them real answers as starting catchers. So when your 1-1 starts performing like one, well, all I can really say is take it, smile, and see as much of it as you can. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit about some roster moves that I think the Pirates should make and why. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out and online shopping and entertainment, listen, take your wife up to the Grove City outlets and separate for a little while and do your own thing and see where you land on what's left in your bank account. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you just stop managing your money and start building wealth. When I started using Monarch, I realized just how much I was spending on food delivery. Now I budget smarter and save more. Also trying to eat a little less. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. Code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. All right, welcome back to Locked On Pirates. Let's talk about some roster moves I think this team should make. As soon as you're done with your duty, make sure you subscribe, like the show, and tell a friend about it. Share it if any platform you like to use. Just get the word out there. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much, especially those of you that join me every single day. I mean, this team has not been easy to follow or cover, and you're still here every day, and I appreciate it. So, two roster moves I really want to focus on. And I know that's probably not a lot for a team that has the record they do. But I figure instead of going through a laundry list, let's really focus on two and kind of nail down why I might make those two in particular. First one I want to do is Jared Triolo. I think I would send down Jared Triolo and I would replace him with Nick York. The reason that I make this move is because I think Bryan Hayes has been almost just as much of a problem offensively as anyone else. And I guess I'm kind of getting tired of getting locked into his bat just having to be something we deal with because he's a good glove. Jared Triolo has not evolved as a hitter at this level. I was hoping to see some kind of a real big swing change from him going into spring. In fact, I had heard rumors that they tried to do something with him. And it turns out when he got to spring training, they kind of shed some light on it. And it seemed like Jared was just going to stand up a little straighter, which I understand in principle. And I actually think has some legs because with his frame, let me backtrack and talk about another player to kind of make it make sense. O'Neal Cruz is tall, right? And because of that, he has almost an 8-foot swing plane. It's crazy, the kind of leverage that he produces and the bat speed he can produce because he's so tall and he's got such a massive wingspan. Well, Jared Triolo, whether you can tell watching it on TV or in person or not, is a massive human being. They call him Big Tree, and there's a reason they call him Big Tree, because he's a big, big dude, okay? There has got to be more power in there. There really does. You see his swing, and you can see how driven by his arms it is. Well, the Pirates really need to get him refocused on using his legs more in his swing, staying more upright, making better contact, getting the ball in the air a little bit more. Jared Triolo has potential, and his glove is very valuable. But if you really want to make the most of the player that you think Jared Triolo could be, to me, you got to send him to the minors and you got to get his bat right. And I think he's going to need torn down and built back up. You got to get him to break all the bad habits. There's something really funky about his swing. I kind of can't believe it's been 3 years of watching him play and nobody's really gotten him to full scale adjust it. It's not normal. It's not working. And I'm not 100% sure how you can continue to run him out there and pretend that it's just going to get better. It's not. His luck's going to go up and down is what's going to happen. His BABIP is going to go up and down, and you're going to see different results based on that, not on anything he's done. I don't think that's fair to the player. I don't think that's fair to the team. I don't want held hostage by Bryan Hayes' glove and Jared Triolo's ability to have them not miss a beat defensively when Hayes has to sit. I know that he's signed for long term, but Nick York is a kid that you want to see up here. And if you bring him up to play second base, well, he's going to be replaced by Nick Gonzalez real shortly, because that's a guy that you also want to get eyes on, and also a guy that you think has power potential that you need to have in this lineup. I think we need to stop treating Bryan Hayes like he can't be replaced. And in order to do that, I need this team to just accept that Bryan Hayes might get beat out for this position by somebody that can hit better. In fact, that's the only reason Jared Triolo hasn't really made a push to kind of replace him and take his playing time, because he can't hit better. He plays the position just as well. So I'm asking the Pittsburgh Pirates to change course here a little bit. Sacrifice the defense a little bit willingly. Play Nick York. Give him, 2 or 3 games a week where he isn't playing third base, and then let him play third base another 2 or 3. Let Bryan Hayes sit half the games, maybe. If he starts hitting again, okay, put him back in. His trade value is not going to go up or down as long as you don't say it's injury related. It's not going to go up or down based on a little experiment you're trying to do with somebody younger to see if you can get some more offense. Nick York's not a guy that's going to hit 20 home runs either. But Nick York is a guy who might be able to hit 30 doubles. That's the type of hitter he is. And I think if nothing else, you're definitely not going to get the predictable, I can only hit fastballs on the outer third of the plate and they have to be the right situation and I have to be looking for it. And if it's a guy that throws sliders or cutters, I'm screwed. I'm just tired of it. And I know we have 4 or 5 more years of Bryan Hayes, but he doesn't make a ton of money. You could do a lot worse than having a guy like that on your bench. And I want to see what Nick York is, and I don't really see the path to him getting any playing time ever if you don't bite the bullet and give him something that we've considered sacred ground before that. All right, next move I would make, and this is a little bit controversial, I'm sure, but I would send down Joey Wentz and DFA him because he doesn't have any options. And then I would replace him with Bubba Chandler. It's a direct 40-man swap. And you bring up Bubba Chandler. I think you have him start. I would be willing to see what Burrows and Ashcraft can do in the bullpen for a little while. If it doesn't look like it's going to work out, I'd make the swap for one of them with Carmen Majinski. But for right now, I think I would go with DFAing Joey Wentz and bringing up Bubba Chandler. I think it's time to try to get our strongest starting rotation put together And in order to do that, I think we need to start really seeing it play out. I could wait on Bubba. I'm not one of these people that thinks like it has to happen right now, or I'm trying to beat Super 2 to prove some point. I don't care about any of that. I really don't. To me, this is just about, I know this kid's going to come up here. I know he's going to probably struggle a little bit. Just like I'm watching Mike Burrows kind of struggle through a little bit. Just like I'm sure I'll watch Braxton Ashcraft struggle a little bit when and if they give him a crack at the rotation. Just like we watched Jared Jones start to struggle after his hot start. Just like we've seen even Paul Skeens do his definition of struggling, which is just basically, not throwing a shutout for a few games. But every rookie comes up here and struggles a little bit. I'd love to see as much of that knocked off of Bubba Chandler and guys like that before we get close to next season. If we're going to make a big trade of somebody that we are depending on, like a Mitch Keller or whatever, or even a Bailey Falter, I hear a lot from people. Well, you better be sure that what you're replacing them with can actually hold the line. It's one thing to look at a bunch of prospects and hope and be hopeful and feel like you have so many that you can duplicate efforts and stack them on top of each other and get yourself one or two out of that mix of players, right? It's another thing entirely to actually get those one or two players out of that mix. That's the next step. These two moves need to be made, if you ask me. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit about how you identify players who are actually on the trade block. Okay? I talked about it earlier. It's not just about nutting being cheap. These are just universal truths in baseball that kind of let you know who to look for from other teams, who to look for on your own team. All right, welcome back to Locked On Pirates. I know like some of this stuff is going to be really surface level. Okay, when I start talking about how you identify players who are likely to be dealt, there's some of you that are going to roll your eyes and say like and list off just about everything that's going to come out of my mouth. But I just like the everydayers, especially, to remember not everybody is that involved. Not everybody sees this stuff the way you do. Not everybody understands the little intricacies of baseball's rules. Not everybody pays attention or cares about that. They just want to know good player here, bad player there. Let's make a trade. You know what I mean? But we're going to talk through it anyway. So service time obviously plays a role. When you first get called up to the bigs, your service time clocks starts. You're on it. You get, depending on where you fall in certain rules, you get, 5, 6, even sometimes 7 years of team control for the team to basically decide whether you're worth extending. They get 3 years of you on a rookie deal, which means you make the league minimum and you get adjustable raises in this first couple of years. It's way better than what you made in the minors, but it's league minimum. Paul Skeens makes league minimum. Okay. When you get to like arbitration, you usually get 3 years of that. You can get 4. There are certain scenarios where you get 4. Again, the league rules are confusing on purpose, but these things are pretty generalized. And if you look at all, you can find them. Okay. There's a site that I'll use for this in particular. They're not good at a lot of things, but they are good at this. Spot Track. If you search any player and look on Spot Track to see their contract situation, they do a pretty good job of outlining when their arbitration years are. And you can really kind of get a quick snapshot view of when that player's service time situation switches, when he's going to start making money, And in there somewhere you can usually find the good part to trade him. Well, service time and years of control kind of go hand in hand. But what you're really looking for tends to be for trading guys. You need to look at the team that he's on, look at his depth chart, okay? Look at where that team is in the standings. If that team looks like they're going to compete this year, well, you can probably roll out a lot of things like trading a guy that only has 1 year of control left because, well, the team probably thinks in that year of control, they've got a better chance of winning with that player than they do without that player. So chances are that's not going to be somebody that they consider a tradable asset. Now you come to the Pirates where they are right now, and you see a guy with, like, say, 1 year of team control left after this year, like David Bednar. And you think to yourself, well, if they were in the playoffs, there's no way they'd want to trade David Bednar because they would need him, right? Presuming you think he's a good pitcher. You'd want to keep him because you're in it. Well, they're not in it. And they're not going to want to pay him next year because if you look at the arbitration schedule, you see how much he's gotten paid. $4 million, $6 million next year, because arbitration doesn't typically work the opposite way. You're not going to get a decrease in pay. You can offer them a decrease in pay, but you're probably going to lose in arbitration and end up paying them a little bit more. Typical, I bet David Bednar in arbitration, if he's taken to arbitration, would probably make $7.5, maybe even $8 million. That's not something the Pirates are going to want to do for a shaky starter or a shaky closer, I should say. So you're probably seeing him as somebody that's available. This is how you look at other teams too for what's available, right? Like return value. We often hear like, oh, we'll trade Tommy Pham. For what? What value do you see there? You have to ask a team to eat his salary, okay? Prorated at $4 million, so a little over $3 million for a guy that's done nothing all year. Sure, that's a drop in the bucket to some teams and expensive to others. Point is, Tommy Pham is not a guy that you want to pay that for, especially if it looks like the team he's on is kind of running out of patience with him, because eventually that means what? Yeah, he's going to get DFA'd. And if he gets DFA'd at some point and he clears waivers, well, you're never going to have to pay him that. The Pirates will. And you can pick him up for league minimum probably. So it behooves people to just wait instead on a guy like that until you get closer to the deadline, where then you could DFA a guy like that, and there's a good chance that somebody like that does get picked up. If only because the prorated value has gone down so much that it no longer matters. So you could see later on in the season something like that. Now, the Pirates need to be big boys here and just cut them loose and not worry about any of that. But I'm just trying to explain like why he's not somebody that you actively are out there pretending you're going to trade. And I read the thing about the Padres being interested in trading for him. I call BS on that. I do. And it's not even like I question that source. MLB Trade Rumors is pretty good as far as like the stuff's at least been talked about before they're writing it up. But I just find that super hard to believe. I just don't see that. Even if they just wanted a bench guy, that doesn't seem like a good fit to me. Redundancy is another good one. You see a team that's got like the Guardians were a good one. They had Manzardo waiting there to start at first base, and they had Josh Naylor with 1 year left of team control. He's getting expensive. They're not going to extend him. So they find him expendable. They can trade him, and they did. They got some prospects back. Who knows if they'll pan out or not? The point is, this was very transactional. I told you last year that Josh Naylor would be available, and there's a reason that I knew. This is why. I'm trying to teach you how to fish a little bit here, because when you go out and you put everything into these trade calculators and whatnot, you're just making up names and pretending that the values match. There's so much more human element to this stuff. You really have to think about where the target team is, where your team is, where the depth charts are. A playoff team isn't going to want to trade somebody that they need for their playoffs, are they? No, not usually. So when you're asking for a guy that they need, you're either going to pay way more for it than you should, or they're going to ask for something equally as painful from you. Sometimes baseball trades like that work out, but they don't work out all that often. They're very, very hard to find when two teams feel like they can part with something valuable and just replace the place on the team that it actually is valuable. It's a rare marriage when you find that sort of thing. Salary dumps happen too. They really do. But they don't happen when you're on this end of the spectrum as much for the Pirates. Like, you'll see some like towards the end of the year, and they'll be called salary dumps by people that are, well, idiots. But trading like an Andrew Heaney at the trade deadline this year, will it be a salary dump? I guess. He's barely making anything. We just discussed the prorated salary, so it's only going to be like $1 million or $2 million by the time they trade him. But they're trading him because they have no team control of him. He's going to be a free agent again. Who knows if you're going to really want him back? You've got all these kids coming up. You're going to trade him and hope that you get some prospects back for him. That's all. That's really all there is to it. This is an emotionless transaction. Adam Frazier, he's hitting right now. Man, if somebody came along and they were like, wow, what happened to Adam Frazier? He looks different. And they were like, hey, we'll give you a really nice lottery ticket for Adam Frazier. If I'm a team exec, man, I'm jumping all over that. I'm striking while the iron's hot. Yeah, take him off our hands because we're going to trade him this year. It's just a matter of when. Caleb Ferguson. Anybody that's on there last year is a rental. You can trade them for very little, and it's going to be called a salary dump, but it just isn't. Here's a salary dump. If the Pirates were to say, be fed up with Bryan Hayes, and they go, listen, hey, Yankees, you guys are really struggling to put a third baseman on there. We got this excellent glove guy. He's locked up for years and years and years. Can't hit a lick. Listen, here's what we owe him. You give us a lottery ticket, we'll call it a day. You guys just assume all his salary. That's a salary dump because you're not getting any players of value in return. You're just asking the Yankees to take this salary off your hands and get it out of your hair. You made a mistake. They can afford the mistake. You can't afford the mistake. That's a salary dump. And your return is really negligible. Yeah, you kind of hope the player you get back works out one day. But for the most part, you don't care. Because the point of the transaction is to get the guy's salary off your plate, get him out of your way, so that you're able to do something like I suggested potentially, where you have Nick York start there. Get what I'm saying? It's not as though these things don't exist. It's just they're not all that. They're not all salary dumps. Some of them are just shrewd moves you're supposed to make. And I know this GM can't make any of those shrewd moves. He's an idiot. I know. I've heard all that before. But listen to your old pal Gary here. I'm not talking about the general manager. I'm talking about these are universal baseball truths. You will find these things to be true no matter what trade you have. Okay? Any trade you see in baseball, you bring it to me. I could run it through this gauntlet of reason why, and I'll tell you why. It's that simple and that predictable. I can tell you right now, guys, that'll be traded at this deadline all around the league just from using these things. That's all I got for you today. Check it out tomorrow morning. I'll be back with an all-new episode, and hopefully the Pirates wrapping up a series win against the Danger Noodles.